Today we're going to visit the small indie company Kiemura. Kiemura is a squiggle from Kotka. They're a family that makes computer games together. So let's go inside and check what's happening. So how was your morning so far?
Pretty standard. We took our daughter to preschool, being excited about the new game launch.
So you have a big day today.
Yeah.
What is different from a normal day when you have a game release?
Well, of course, you're don't sleep as well, of course, and you are eager to open up the computer, look at the stats and stuff like that. So that's always, and see if the game is online and if everything is working.
And all the investors are calling like, are we making our money back?
No, well, we don't have any investors, so not yet, but maybe they call a bit later.
So who is this company? Who is part of this game?
So Kiemura is this is a small game company from Finland. Mm-hmm. We are based in Kotka, and basically it's me and my wife making games. Mainly we are focused on mobile games. We have done some PC and Apple TV games as well. The company was established like a little over a year ago in August 2015. We are making games at our home office, and so far we released three games.
So what's the story with the name Kiemura?
Kiemura, it's we wanted something like a Finnish word. We didn't want like something games, like every game company seems to have. We wanted something a bit like maybe like a kind of like Rovio in a way. So it was a Finnish word that would be easy to pronounce. I don't know if Kiemura is that easy to pronounce for the English-speaking people, but. It's also like the logo is one of our late dogs. When we had the dog, she had like this curly tail, and Kiemura means curly line, if you translate it. So it kind of also inspired the name a bit.
So how did you get into game development?
I was working a few years ago in a company. We had this summer project, so we had the possibility to make a mobile game there. We didn't have any like actual work-related projects, so we were like given a green light to make a game. So we did it, and well, it kind of like opened the doors in the company. Like, hey, okay, you made a game. Why don't you make another one? And we decided to do that. And that kind of sparked the interest in making games of our own.
So what kind of background do you have to allow you to start developing games?
I'm a software engineer, so I've been studying here in Kotka, programming and web development, and I graduated in 2004. So after that, I've been mostly working in web development gigs. So I have a engineer programming background. So that helps when you're making games.
Well, what are the main languages that you know and like to program with?
Well, currently we're using C# with Unity 3D game engine. So that's probably the most used nowadays. I've also some Java, some HTML of course, and PHP. Those are like for the web development stuff.
Do you think knowing those languages have served you in any way to start developing games?
No, of course. I mean, the programming fundamentals are always, pretty much the same, no matter what the language is. So when you learn to program, you basically have to learn like these, if-else statements and, doing stuff in loops and,
So when you start out with developing a new game, how does it come about? Like, where do you start?
That depends. I mean, usually we, want to start from like, how you actually play the game. Is it like tapping or swiping or tilting, or what's the basic controls, what you're doing in the game? And then it kind of, goes on from there. Like, okay, if we're tapping, okay, what we're tapping, what's the, the main core mechanic.
And you're two people in the team. Apparently, you're doing mostly in charge of the coding.
Yep. Yes. So Yeah, I'm mostly doing the the heavy lifting, the programming and the actual making the technical stuff.
And your wife goes to the bank and spends the money?
Pia is she takes care of the company finances and stuff like that, and she helps with design, with some graphics as well, and of course in general helps to come up with the ideas and helps with testing and stuff like that. So
do you have a clear set of boundaries in who takes care of what?
Well, no, I mean it's a small company, 2 people, so we basically have to do everything by ourselves, and it kind of depends what's the current project state. So if we should be programming or doing art or doing music or sound effects or testing or whatever, so we wear many hats.
So you're now releasing your 3rd game today?
Yes.
And you have 2 mildly or largely successful games in the past?
Yeah, so Hover Crash is the game that is launched today.
Welcome to Hover Crash.
Before that, we launched Puron.io, which is kind of like a real-time online multiplayer game. You can play it on your web browser or your mobile devices. The web version was released in June and the mobile in October.
I thought it was really fun until I got eaten by a bigger fish. Then it wasn't that fun anymore.
Yeah, it's basically if you know Agario or Solidario, it's really heavily inspired by those games. So we just decided to add more some own ideas and own stuff there. I don't know if it's unheard of, but it's people have been really surprised to hear that it's 2 people making games and they are making an online real-time multiplayer game, and it's pretty surprising to many.
And then the previous game before that?
Yeah, that was Tiltagon. We released it actually before we established our company, so it was in April 2015. It's a mobile game which is kind of like tilt-based. You tilt your device to guide a ball around the different courses. Yeah, it basically helped us, establish the company. The main inspiration was this game called Super Hexagon, which is on mobile and PC. It's really tough, really hard. You basically have to avoid hitting walls. And that was like the main inspiration, and we started thinking that, okay, how could we make something like that, but a bit more difficult? And so the idea of adding tilt controls came into mind, and we started prototyping, and it seemed like a pretty challenging game,
So of all the technologies available on a mobile platform, from a programming point of view, which is the most difficult thing to implement? The tapping, swiping, tilting the controls?
Well, we're using, like I said, Unity game engine. It makes it pretty easy. You can get the taps and swipes and tilts done really quickly. Of course, it's always about how you polish it and how you fine tune it. It's always that's the tricky part. With Tiltagon, since it's like a tilt-based game, that took quite a lot of work to get it to feel really good. You can start the game in various different. You can hold the device upwards or on landscape or whatever, and since it auto calibrates, it was really challenging to get it okay, this is when you start, the 0 position is calibrated and you can play it the way you want. That was probably the hardest part.
So the process of taking the game from an idea to an actual product, what is the basic platform you program for?
We're using Unity on PC, mostly, but we're, aiming. Our mobile games are coming out on Android and iOS, so that's our, main core markets. And so basically, when you start prototyping, you can use placeholder graphics and placeholder items like cubes and spheres and stuff like that to get the main core stuff going, and then you basically start just adding more stuff there and more code, and it just starts coming a whole game slowly.
So going forward from here, where do you expect or hope that the gaming industry and specifically the mobile gaming industry, where is it going?
Mobile gaming is obviously huge at the moment, and I think that in the future it still is going to grow even more, especially in the third world countries where mobile devices are probably getting like more advanced since the prices are dropping and you're getting more high specs with lower price points. That's one place where there's going to be huge growth. Of course, China is big, and Asia in general. There's a lot of talk in game industry at the moment, like VR and AR games like Pokemon Go, and of course all the Oculus Rift and things like that. So I think if the prices are going to drop to some, they actually have to drop pretty significantly, that the standard normal consumer starts in buying those things. And after that does, then I think that's going to be an interesting market as well.
It seems though that I'm looking at the most successful games on the mobile platform. You got Candy Crush, and you got Angry Birds and Clash of Titans and stuff like that are actually, and of course Tiltagon and Hovercraft and all those upcoming games. Seems that the unifying thing is that they're actually pretty simple by idea. Obviously there's a lot of really heavy mobile games, like with a lot of rendering, a lot of 3D effects and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the most successful one seems to be the simplest ones.
Of course, the casual market is huge. I mean, if you're talking about Candy Crush or Angry Birds and stuff like that. So the reason probably is why they are so successful is that the core mechanics and core gameplay is really simple, and it's just really polished. And people have, if you're playing on mobile devices, you're not sitting on your home couch and playing for 2 or 3 hours straight. Your gameplay experience is really, you're on the go, you're playing 1 minute here and another there. So I don't think that it's also maybe a reason why the graphics, it's also possible that the graphics aren't as high end in that case. It's not maybe needed as well. Of course, the reason that there's a huge amount of fragmentation with the devices, so you have to be able to get like a low-end mobile phone and be able to play that game as well as the latest like iPhone. So there's like a huge gap between the low end and the high end, and that also probably explains why the graphics are maybe not as polished as on like the latest game consoles.
How important is optimization for you about graphics and stuff like that, like file size? Does it matter these days anymore?
Yeah, it does. I mean, on iOS and Android you have basically it's like 100 megabytes, I guess, the limit that you can download the app on your 3G, mobile 3G or 4G connection. And if it's above that, you have to download it on your Wi-Fi. And if it goes above that, it's of course a lot harder for people to just go on the App Store and download a game, since you have to you can't just, this is too big, I have to wait for the getting back.
You already lose a lot of customers on that level.
Yeah.
So how do you think about your core audience? Have you thought who they are and who you want to serve?
We don't have like a specific one. I mean, we're doing like arcade or casual games, so that's probably our core audience. We are as a small team, we just can't start making a game that's like 2 or 3 years of in the making. We just can't financially, for example, have the resources to do or start that kind of project. We are more focused on creating a smaller titles. So again, it's more like maybe the younger audience is the primary audience for our games.
So you have a variety of sources of places where you get inspired for new games, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I've been always a fan of video games, and also love playing old like Super Nintendos or Nintendo 64s, for example. So they have a lot of awesome games, and it's actually a really great source for inspiration if you're playing like older titles, maybe some like lesser known ones as well. Some of the the games that are successful nowadays on mobile have some like gameplay mechanics kind of copied or inspired from the older ones. So
do you think that there's any more original ideas for games out there, or has like we say that all of the songs in the world have basically been recorded already and all the movies have been made? Have all the game ideas been made, or is there still something, what do you think, still something out there?
I don't think that they have been made. I mean, for example, if you're looking like the VR stuff, that's definitely something that's a new territory. There's going to be a lot of inventive and interesting stuff coming out, I'm sure.
But that's a totally different interface, which allows you to play like the mobile device was with the tapping, swiping, and tilting, and it's a totally new interface of doing. So maybe some of the games are getting ported from old existing ones into VR, but I think VR is maybe a totally new thing.
Yeah, that's definitely so. And I mean, AR like Pokemon Go, for instance, has been a huge hit, and it shows that the games nowadays can be much more than your normal like mobile experience, maybe with the tapping and stuff like that. So I think that maybe people are a bit they maybe should use more of the like phones different features. You have like for example tilting or cameras or different sensors, and you could maybe there are some things that maybe should be used more, and that would keep more variety for the games as well.
So you're based here in Kotka, which is a quite vibrant area for game development. There's a few companies around here, and how do you feel the area you are based in? How does it serve your business?
Yeah, so we have a couple of game companies in Kotka, so they are a bit bigger than us. But well, Kotka is a pretty small town if you think about like globally. It's like 50 to 60,000 people, so we're
huge.
Pretty small. But it's been really nice to see that they are game companies have been established here, and they haven't like moved to Helsinki or anything like that. So that's definitely a plus. So we have some like IGDA local hub here. We have monthly meetings. Game developers from other companies come here, and the students from the local school come there as well, and meet and mingle and exchange ideas and show games and stuff like that. So that's a great way to socialize and have try to build the community here, even in this like a small town.
How important do you think that is to have this networking and support?
It's definitely important. I mean, it's if you think like students, they are studying game development, and maybe don't have like a clear idea about all the things, or maybe they are almost graduating, they are looking for a job. It's great to come to those monthly meetings and meet the people from the actual game companies, and maybe get tips or hear the stuff that maybe help them to get a job from those companies. So it's definitely important.
How about the support from like Playa and IGDA and these kind of communities?
Yeah, they have been really helpful. I mean, they are offering like office space here in Kotka. If you're want to establish a company, they can help looking for office space and other needed stuff. What you need. They offer they actually do some trips to, for example, Slush or Pocket Gamer events, other gaming events in Finland, but as well abroad. So they can help covering some of the costs from those trips, and they help meet if you're looking like an investor for your game company. They can help with that as well. So they are, they have been really helpful, for our game company as well. Getting some support and some tips and some feedback how to run a business.
Do you have any moral or ethical guidelines or codes that you follow, something that you would never do or put into your game?
I think that it's probably like adult material, like you know, sex and stuff like that. Maybe like alcohol. That's probably not like our core audience, anyways. I mean, of course, if we in the future for some reason shift to like making adult-only games, like Grand Theft Autos or something like that. At the moment, we're not like that into it. We would want to keep the games a bit more family friendly. I mean, in Piranha.io, you eat other fish and you eat people who are like floating on the water. So, but that's like a cartoony stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Nyt saa jännittää, koska nyt aloitetaan.
Joo.
Yhtäkkiä. Niin, siis kerro sun taustasta. Mitä sä oot päätynyt pelin tekijäksi?
Joo, siis oikeastaan mä koulutukseltani rakennusinsinööri.
Okay.
Mutta niin sitten tuossa hoitovapaalla Jyri kävi tekemään noita pelejä sitten, niin rupesin auttamaan. Et sitä kautta sitten.
Eli oot siirtynyt rakennusinsinööristä pelin kehittäjäksi, niin miksi? Miten se tapahtui silleen?
Joo, tosiaan meidän nuorimman lapsen syntymän jälkeen ruvettiin tekemään pelejä yhdessä tässä kotona ja rupesin auttamaan noissa grafiikoissa. Huomasin, että Jyrillä on aika kiire tehdä koodaamisessa, menee kuitenkin jonkun verran aikaa, niin siitä se sitten lähti. Vieläkin on paljon opiskeltavaa tässä tämän alan puolesta sitten.
Oliko siinä jotain hyötyä siitä sun taustasta, koska insinöörinä kuitenkin joutuu katsoa pirustuksia? Ja
siis joo, totta kai, että sitä pystyy paremmin ehkä hahmottamaan sitten noita kolmiulotteisia juttuja. Ja
mitä sä koet, että on helppoa ja mielekästä pelin tekemisessä ja mikä on haastavaa ja vaikeaa?
No ehkä siis aika haastavaa mulla on ollut kokonaisuudessaan kuitenkin, että paljon ihan jatkuvasti pitää oppia uutta. Ja tietysti kun se rajoittuu niin, että ei ole sitä koodaamistaustaa, niin sit pitää keskittyä enemmän näihin grafiikkaan ja miten niitä ohjelmia sitten käytetään. Ja
tuleeko teille joskus kommunikaatiohaasteita sille, että sä haluat yhtä asiaa ja Jyri sanoi, että se ei ole mahdollista tai miten tämän saisi?
Siis joo, kyllä meillä on tullut että monta kertaa, että hei, tehdään tällainen näin. Joo, että no siinä kestää sitten sen verran niin kauan aikaa, että ehkä jos nyt vähän toisenlaista sit suunniteltaisiin, että semmoisia on tullut eteen.
Tunnetko, että monesti joudut luopumaan ajatuksista tai haaveista, että mitä tehtäisiin?
Niin, no ehkä kun on enemmän ajatuksia, niin ei sitä tunne, että joutuisi luopumaan kuitenkaan, että niitä sitten uusia ajatuksia sitten vaan.
Miten teidän lapset on mukana pelin tekoprosessissa?
Lähinnä he tykkäävät testata pelejä ja sitten antaa ideoita siitä, että minkä värisiä hahmoja voi olla.
Miten tämä kotitoimisto toimii sun näkökulmasta? Mitkä on hyvät puolet ja mitkä on haasteet?
Siis hyvät puolet on tietysti se, että kun kotona niin voi pienet lapset pitää myös sitten kotona, ei tarvitse laittaa päivähoitoon. Ja toki sitten on tilanteita, että pitäisi ehkä keskittyä johonkin, niin sitten täytyy siirtää ne semmoiset keskittymistä vaativat työt vähän myöhemmälle, kun lapset esimerkiksi nukkuu.
Onko haastavaa pitää erillään työasiat ja vapaa-aika? Onko semmoinen hahmottelet heksagoneja koko ajan kauppareissulle?
No ei oikeastaan, että silloin kun ollaan lasten kanssa, niin sitten tehdään niitä juttuja ja sitten yritetään se muu aika ottaa sit siihen muuhun suunnitteluun.
Jos saisit taikasaavaa heiluttaa, niin miltä tämä teidän yritys ja kuvio näyttäisi?
No toki me haluttaisiin kasvua, että sitten olisi omat tilat ja työntekijöitä, toimistot siis ihan ja Se olisi kyllä ihan mahtavaa.
Jos et tekisi pelejä tänä päivänä, niin mitä tekisit? Olisitko rakennusalalla?
Luultavasti rakennusalalla, joko rakennusinsinöörin hommia tai sitten suuntaisin arkkitehtipuolelle.
Miten tärkeää on äitinä niin kun pelien tällainen niin kun opettavainen aspekti, että miten paljon niitä voisi hyödyntää opetuksessa?
Siis, minä olen sitä mieltä, että niitä voisi hyödyntää varmaan enemmänkin kuin mitä tällä hetkellä hyödynnetään, että kuitenkin siinä sitten lapsi oppii käyttämään laitteita ja ei tule sellaista pelkoa sitten niitä kohtaan. Onko
teillä jotain rajoja niin kuin omilla lapsille, että paljonko saa pelata tai katsoa telkkaria tai
siis joo, mutta on rajat, että saa kyllä pelata ja katsoa, mutta ei liikaa. Pitää myös leikkiä ja ulkoilla ja harrastaa ihan mitä haluaa.
Oliko vaikea päästä alkuun silloin, kun teillä oli visio siitä, että jes, me ruvetaan tekemään pelejä, niin mitkä oli ensiaskeleet ennen kuin saitte niin kuin homman toimimaan? Oliko se niin, että teillä oli jo peli ennen kuin teillä oli yritys? No
oikeastaan me haettiin sitä starttirahaa silloin ja siihen sitten piti alkaa niitä liiketoimintasuunnitelmia ja niitä sitten, että kaikkihan oli aivan uutta alkuun.
Saitteko te mistään apua tai tukea siinä? Niin
siis me käytiin sieltä kursorin neuvontapalvelussa ja niin sitä kautta apua saatiin kyllä.
Millä tavalla kaikkein kursori pystyy tekemään?
Lähinnä me otettiin tästä apua siihen starttirahan hakemiseen silloin.
Entäs sitten kun saitte niin kun, yrityksen pystyyn ja niin kun aloitte tätä tekemään, niin kauaksi kesti ennen kuin alkoi tulee massia tilille?
Kyllä siinä jonkun aikaa meni. Se on aina se haaste, varsinkin alussa.
Et jos lähtisit opastamaan tai antamaan esimerkin niin kuin nuorelle yrittäjälle, niin miten haastava tämä oli tämä aika, koska tulee starttirahaa, pääsee käyntiin ja tälleen näin, mutta varmaan olisi ihan hyvä olla joku idea tai visio tai jopa joku...
Kyllä, idea, visio ja sitten siitäkään haittaa olisi, jos olisi jo jotain omaa rahaa sitten sinne, ettei heti tarvitsisi alkaa palkkaa maksaa ja pääsisi sitten vähän pidemmälle.
Okay, time to get serious. No, just kidding. Developing games is not only about hard work, it's also having a lot of fun. Inside here we got a wind tunnel and we're gonna go fly. Let's go check it out. Hello, how you doing? What's your name and where are we?
I'm very good, thank you. My name is Joel Donahue and we're at Sirius Sport Resort.
Okay, and what is this? What is going on behind us?
So currently someone is swimming.
In invisible water.
In invisible water. So we're at a wind tunnel. So basically we have a huge amount of air coming up underneath, and on this air it creates like an invisible surface when people are going to fly on and do things like this, which we're going to make you do in a second.
So where's this idea come from and how spread around is this? This is the only place in Finland, right?
It is the only place in Finland. This place has been here about 3 years now. Tunnels are springing up all over the place. A few years back this would be about 60, now that's doubled to about 120. The technology has been around for a very, very long time. There's been tunnels built since the Second World War, but they were mostly used for military testing. For this sort of purpose, more like 1980.
What's your customer base like? Who are the people that come and try this out?
We have all different types, all different ages. Here we have an age limit of 5, but I know people as young as 18 months that have been in the tunnel. I've taken in a 96-year-old lady, missing limbs, blind, deaf. So there's very few things that stop people from going in the tunnel. We have 3 main customer groups though. We have corporate groups, companies. We have the professionals come down, and we have just first-timers who want to give it a go.
So you can see right now I'm a little bit scared and frightened about what's behind us. How are you feeling?
A little bit nervous, I have to admit.
Have you ever flown before? Have you jumped out of an airplane?
Nope. First time.
Have you ever thought about jumping out of an airplane?
Oh, well, with a parachute maybe.
Miltä susta tuntuu tällä hetkellä? Jännittääkö?
No kyllä jännittää kovasti.
Ootko ollut joskus vastaavassa tilanteessa?
En.
Ootko nähnyt unia tai ehkä painajaisia tämmöisestä tilanteesta?
No en oikeastaan onneksi.
Okei, mua hieman jännittää. Voit sä pitää mua kädestä sit, jos mä oon oikein
Kyllä se onnistuu.
Okay, so we're gonna go in a few minutes and see how it goes. I don't know how life will ever be the same again after this. Okay, so we're done flying. Yeah. How do you feel right now?
Pretty good, pretty good.
How would you explain that feeling when you're in that airstream?
It's definitely pretty unique. Your muscles are, wobbling all over, and it's really undescribable, I would say.
Voitko sinä yrittää kuvailla tuota tunnetta, mitä siellä sisällä oli?
No niin, se oli aika mahtavaa ja aika vapauttavaa.
So, but you succeeded in doing the task, completing the task, being relaxed and just following instructions. And you have also succeeded in the gaming industry. How does that feel?
Well, I don't know about the succeeding part, but yeah, we've been lucky to have some downloads and some success, I guess. Of course, it feels awesome to see people playing game and leaving positive feedback and positive reviews, and even like App Store or Google or Apple promoting the game. It feels great.
Ette ole ehkä ainoita suomalaisia pelikehittäjiä, mutta te olette kuitenkin niinku menestyviä siinä mielessä, että ansaisette elantonne. Pystytte pyörittämään 4-henkistä vai 6-henkistä perhettä sillä. Miltä se tuntuu?
Se on hienoa, että pystyy omalla työllä elättää itsensä.
Finland is known for having a very strong community of game developers, and it is seen around the world that good games come from Finland. Do you have any idea why that is?
I think it's we have demo scene was big part of that back in the 80s. Nokia, of course, was a big influence especially for the mobile game development. And those people who have been in the demo scene and working at Nokia and other companies have moved on and established own companies, which some of them are game companies. That's definitely part of the whole puzzle, I would say. And then of course we have a great educational system. So we have lots of schools where you can study nowadays game development as well, or programming or art. And of course the society in general is safe and supportive for many of those things.
Sen lisäksi, että Suomessa on tällainen ihana lentoputki, niin mitä muita asioita on sun mielestä hyvä Suomessa?
No, sanoisin ainakin, että luonto. Ja täällä on aika kuitenkin puhdasta. Turvallistakin.
If you weren't developing games, what would you be doing?
I would probably be working in IT sector somewhere, maybe web development, or I don't know if maybe in some ways involved in game development, I would say. Something like that. I don't know if it would be a new company or if I would be, an employee in some bigger company. I don't know that, but I would think, as I have a background in programming, that would be probably something related to that.
Se sun suoritus näytti sen verran hyvältä tuo putkessa, että mä veikkaan, että jos sä et kehittäisi peliä työksessä, niin sit voisit ihan hyvin olla tällainen putkikoluttaja.
Se voisikin olla aika kiva.
Tuntuuko rennolta ja et sillä, että arjen asiat lähti hetkeksi ainakin pois?
Kyllä.
Piti kysyä tuosta aikaisemmin niin tuosta pelikehityksestä, kun hänellä selkeästi on se niin koodauspuoli ja sitten sulla on niin grafiikkaa ja tällainen. Ja kun mä oon pelannut nyt tätä teidän Tiltagonia, niin tuli mieleen siis noista niin leveleistä ja myös toi hover crash, eli siis kuka suunnittelee ne tasot ja mistä niin ideat kumpuaa esteisiin ja muihin elementteihin peleissä?
Niitä me yhdessä suunnitellaan.
There's one question I've been wanting to ask, the whole time, but I've been waiting for the right moment, and I think now is the right moment. So, in the end, who is the boss? Who makes the choices?
Ainakin yrityksen puolesta Jyri on kyllä se pomo.
But for things related to the home and how you actually run your life?
I guess there's only one answer for that.
we'll just keep it at that. So obviously, when you create games and when you're in this industry, you hopefully most of the time things go as planned, but sometimes they don't. Do you have any stories or any situations where things didn't go as planned, or any humorous anecdotes about the gaming industry?
Yeah, well, some stories, I think most of them are probably related to the first game, since it was like a learning experience in many ways. We managed in the end to get a draft of a publishing deal from one foreign game publisher. We had the papers, everything set up and ready to go, and still we decided to self-publish the game. And turns out, releasing games on your own is really hard, and we managed to, get just something like 5,000 or 6,000 downloads in the end. So, if that's something that I would, had the possibility to change, that would probably be something that maybe we should have, written our names to the publishing agreement. But yeah, lessons learned, I guess.
Miten sitten sellaisille henkilöille, jotka nyt ehkä katsoo tätä ohjelmaa ja miettii, että hei, minäkin haluaisin lähteä ja alkaa kehittää pelejä, niin maksimissaan 3 asiaa, mitä voisit antaa niille vinkkeiksi tai mitä haluaisit sanoa heille, että kannattaa tai ei kannata tehdä?
Siis totta kai kannattaa, mutta pitää varautua siihen, että töitä pitää tehdä. Ja että siinä kyllä täytyy olla vähän onneekin tässä mukaan, mutta että kannattaa kuitenkin yrittää.
So anything else except for having a good time and finding something that you're passionate about and doing a lot of work?
Yeah, I think those take you a long way. I think in the end it's probably that no matter what you're doing, you should definitely try to finish it and release it in some way. It doesn't help if you are, creating games and prototypes and you're not, completing them and releasing them out there. It's game development is a pretty big process, and there's a lot more than just making the game. You have to it covers like marketing and what it's like to actually publish the game on the store. So there's like a lot of for example graphical assets that you have to make and things that you have to prepare before you can launch. So if you do that more often, I think it definitely increases your chances to success in the game industry.
Do you think that people tend to try to make it too good or hone out all the details because they don't want to spoil their reputation by putting something out that is not finished?
Yeah, I think it's probably something that people want it to be like a perfect game, and well, there's basically not such thing. And I think it's more wise if you're just starting, just make smaller projects, finish them, and release them. Yes, you may get some negative feedback, but that's also part of like the process. You have to be able to receive and comprehend and think about all the the reasons why people left you the negative feedback, and that's also a growing experience as well. And so you can take all those things and make a better game next time. And if you do this more often, for example, on your free time or if you're studying, then you could do like when you're studying, you could do games on your free time as well. It's definitely more safe than just, hey, we're gonna establish a company and start making games and we have no experience whatsoever. So
yeah, I agree. One of my favorite talkers is Gary Vaynerchuk, and he talks about the three most important things to succeed is work, and work. Those are the number 1, 2, and 3 principles of success. And he also likes to say that it's all about putting stuff out there, just being productive and putting stuff out there. So not to be holding on too long, just putting it out there, getting to completion, and then going back again. So it's been a pleasure talking to you, hanging out with you all day. I wish you the best of luck. Kaikkea onnea ja menestystä, and I'll be going home and playing your games. I hate Hover Crash, sorry. Because it's too difficult, but maybe it's just me who don't know it yet. But so I'm gonna go home and practice. So this is it for today. I hope to see you next time. Tune in. This is DEVS. This is Christopher. Bye bye.